We're going to move on to our next session. This session is focused on the Lagos Free Zone, and we'll look at the impact of the deep seaport, state-of-the-art infrastructure, services, and facilities as key investment drivers. The session will start off with a presentation from Tejazwi Avasarala, General Manager, Strategic Marketing, Lagos Free Zone, and then we'll be followed up by a live Q&A with myself and Tejazwi, as well as the audience. So we'll welcome Tejazwi onto stage now. He'll present, and then we'll go into a live Q&A, deep diving on some of the points covered in the presentation. Tejazwi, over to you.
Sorry, Kafir, just give me a minute. I can't seem to hear you.
We can hear you. We're just waiting for Tejazwi to log back on.
Hello.
Hi, Tejazwi, can you hear me? Tejazwi, can you hear me? I think he's just having an issue hearing us. Connecting.
Hi, Kafir, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can. Thank you.
Excellent. So yeah, over to you, and we look forward to the presentation.
Great. Before I get started with the presentation, let me take a couple of minutes to just thank all the participants that have decided to join us and invest their time in these deliberations. And of course, thank you to Kafir and his team to be able to put together such an event despite the challenges that we face in these current times. So now, without much ado, I wanted to talk today about Lagos Free Zone and what the project is about and who the developers are and what it offers. So just to give you a quick one-line summary, it's an industrial zone which is one of its kind industrial zone in the country with a deep seaport integrated within its footprint. It sits 65 kilometers east of Lagos and is being developed by Tolaram Group. And we have been in operations for the last decade or so. And we are glad to be here and introduce to you what the project is and where exactly we are and what we offer. So on that note, let me quickly take you through a short presentation. I promise you that it won't be long or too heavy on numbers and information. I'll keep it short and crisp. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So on the first slide, I'll quickly talk about who we are as a group. We represent Tolaram Group. We have been in business for the last 7 decades, and we have 7 decades of experience of creating value and driving growth and enterprises in emerging markets. Our expertise is in primarily developing end-to-end value chains for multiple products in Nigeria. We are famously known for introducing the country to Indomie brand of noodles, and are very glad to share with you that we have been on extraordinary growth journey with that particular product, and we have grown into multitude of products now, both with our manufacturing as well as distribution capabilities. What this has led to is that we have now become the trusted partner for global brands in Nigeria. We have joint venture partnerships with the likes of Kellogg's and Colgate from United States, with Arla from Europe, and with Indofoods from Indonesia, as well as in the infrastructure vertical of our businesses with China Harbour Engineering Company, as far as our port development efforts are concerned. And lastly, we have a proven track record in delivering complex projects. We have been associated with promoting and developing Lekki Deep Sea Port project. And I'm extremely pleased to share with you all that we have managed to take the project to its financial close despite the challenges that were fronting us given the times that we are in currently. So in sum, what we are as a group is that we are a leading industrial group in Nigeria with 19 factories, close to 700,000 distribution points, and we employ more than 16,000 people in the country. So on that note, I would now like to move on and introduce you what Lagos Free Zone is about. So Lagos Free Zone is an industrial zone development which is fully integrated with the Lekki Deep Sea Port project. It is located 65 kilometers east of the Lagos Central Business District. We have been in business for the last decade or so, and we have established as a free zone in its current form since 2012. We are developing a total land of about 830 hectares, which includes 90 hectares of land on which the Lekki Deep Sea Port is being built. As I said, we are fully integrated with the Lekki Deep Sea Port, which is a key strategic advantage by itself because it will allow the investors in the free zone to enjoy the free movement of goods and services, especially for those investors who have an export and import interface. In phase one, we are embarking upon developing 360 hectares of land, which will include multiple clusters, primarily industrial, port-related logistics, and a mixed-use cluster. So that is a brief introduction in terms of what Lagos Free Zone is. Now, I would like to talk about what we offer and what are our strategic advantages in terms of our key value propositions. So we think of ourselves as your gateway to a new frontier. We, because of our fully integrated deep sea port capabilities, offer you a seamless access to a consumer base of 350 million people spread across the entire Western African peninsula. In terms of the fiscal benefits, the free zone benefits are underpinned by a legislation which has been time tested and has been in place for the last 2 to 3 decades. And it includes a multitude of benefits, right from complete tax exemption from all the taxes such as corporate income tax, withholding tax, custom duties, and value-added tax. And as well as it also enables you to enjoy a whole lot of incentives in terms of 100% ownership by private enterprises and foreign enterprises, and complete ability to bring in and take out your capital investments anytime you like. Moving on, we also take pride in providing you an enabling infrastructure. We, because of our experience in the country for the last 4 decades, have a clear understanding of what a typical investor wish list looks like. And we are trying to develop a free zone which provides you a reliable plug-and-play infrastructure setup so that you can focus on what you do best, which is growing your business and reaching out to your consumers. And the way we do it is by providing a single window clearance system, which takes away a lot of hassle for the businesses in terms of running around pillar to post to get permits and other regulatory interface documentation as far as operations in Nigeria are concerned. So we provide a single window clearance under one roof where you can get all the documentation and paperwork completed as far as it relates to Nigerian Export Processing Zones Authority or the Customs Authority or the Immigration Authority. In addition to the single window clearance system and enabling infrastructure, we are developing the Lagos Free Zone on the concept of self-sustaining work-live-play ecosystem. And what that does is it allows the investors to not only benefit from other enterprises that are co-located in the free zone and allows you to operationally enjoy deep integration with your supply chains. But at the same time, it also allows you to hire the right talent as well as retain the right talent, because we are providing you an ecosystem where all your workforce will be able to stay close to where they work. And that in itself is a key advantage in terms of driving up the productivity, as we all know in the context of Lagos and Nigeria. So in sum, what we are doing and what we are trying to develop is to bring you a 360-degree ecosystem which allows you to enjoy a host of benefits and facilities and services, together with all the fiscal benefits that are underpinned by a law that has been in place for a long time now. And that is how we think we are going to gear up you to access this new market and not only just survive, but thrive in an environment which is considered difficult as far as the perception is concerned. So that's what we are trying to do as a project, as a developer. And now I would like to take you through a short video, which will give you a very good overview about what the project concept is like.
Lagos Free Zone, the first private free zone in Nigeria with a fully integrated deep sea port, is an ideal location to serve the demand centers in West Africa, home to about 350 million strong consumer base. LFZ is well connected to all major cities in the hinterland by road and by air. We are located 65 kilometers east of Lagos metropolis along the Lekki Corridor, the Sunrise Development Corridor of Lagos State, fast consolidating itself as the engine of economic growth in Nigeria. Uniquely integrated with Lekki Port, the deepest seaport in the region, Lagos Free Zone unlocks deeper reach to local and international markets. Sustainably developed as the premier investment location for varied businesses, LFZ is an ideal destination for manufacturing facilities due to its strategic advantage in enabling easier access to critical success factors such as land, world-class infrastructure, and an unwavering commitment towards enhancing the ease of doing business in Nigeria. Investors in Lagos Free Zone benefit from the conducive and hassle-free live-work-play environment. Amenities such as housing, hotels, parking hubs, communications infrastructure, power station, medical facilities, and leisure centers are provided and maintained so that you can focus on growing your business. In addition to the enabling environment for growth, investors at Lagos Free Zone enjoy a host of fiscal benefits and preferential policies backed by the federal government of Nigeria and the Nigeria Export Processing Zones Authority. These include various tax benefits, import duty exemption, unrestricted access for skilled workforce, and tax-free remittance of profits and dividends. Lagos Free Zone is a world-class industrial zone, carefully planned with state-of-the-art infrastructure, services, and facilities to help your business thrive. We welcome you to Lagos Free Zone, your gateway to a new frontier.
Indeed. So on that note, I will go back to stopping the screen share and we can start the discussion.
Thank you, Tejasvi, and very informative presentation and great video, and yeah, very interesting to see the breadth and the scale of the project in Nigeria. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to a Q&A. I also invite the audience to send through questions. Obviously, we've got some questions which we'll go through now, but also invite the audience to send through their questions, and then we'll deep dive on some key topics. So let me get started on the first question. What are the key infrastructural and regulatory challenges faced by international investors in general in Nigeria, and how is Lagos Free Zone helping to ease those challenges?
Sure. So, Kifed, a lot has already been said about the infrastructural challenges in the country, but I would still try to summarize it in my own way. We all know that infrastructure is very critical to promote economic growth, poverty alleviation, healthcare and education enhancement, and improving the country's overall competitive positioning. On that front, unfortunately, there is still a lot to be done. The stock of Nigeria's infrastructure is about 35% of GDP, compared to 70% of the international benchmark. And we also know that the ratio of capital expenditure on infrastructure to the budgeted sum has been less than 30% in the last few years, which implies that there is a poor conversion ratio in terms of the performance of the government's intent. But having said that, I think the government is moving in the right direction. There have been a lot of positive developments in terms of announcing public-private partnership projects in the areas of railroads, ports, roads, as well as agriculture. And we also have recently heard a lot of impetus being given by the current administration to make sure that the government not only sets itself an ambitious target, but also tries to achieve it by implementing. So there is a lot of focus that has moved from just budget allocation to execution, and that I think is a very welcome positive sign. So I think, I mean, there are challenges that are typical to emerging market economies that you see that are also present in Nigeria. But I think with constant effort from the government to make the right moves, we are going to overcome this problem in the next 5 to 10 years. At least we will get to a place where there is an enabling backbone for the businesses to do what they can do best. In terms of the regulatory challenges, I think, we are at a crucial juncture of making the right moves to privatize, liberalize, and create other favorable conditions for long-term sustainable private investments. The need for clearer legal and regulatory frameworks and improved procedures with consistent sector policies, whether it is with regard to tariff or contract enforcement, or providing a supportive regulatory environment, are the need for the hour. But even on this aspect, there has been a lot of focus by the current government to look at all the key pain points objectively and trying to address them one by one. And I think that is what has led to a tangible improvement in the ease of doing business rankings of Nigeria. I think we have moved up close to 40 notches in the last 5 years. And there is tangible improvement in the country, and there is a lot of focus by the current government. In terms of what we are trying to do at Lagos Free Zone is we are trying to address this problem in a lot of ways. I'll talk about two of them. One, we are providing, in terms of the infrastructure, we are providing a reliable infrastructural setup which allows the incoming investors to hit the ground running and not worry about a lot of factors of production which are critical for their success. For example, we already have an up and running CNG-based power station at our Lagos Free Zone. We are working very hard to get the pipe gas network up and running in the next couple of years. And we are strategically located amidst keystone industrial projects along the Lekki corridor, which is far removed from the congested road networks around the existing ports in Lagos. And in terms of our regulatory, value add, what we are trying to do is to address the ease of doing business parameters in our own way. And I'll give you a few examples. One of the 3 or 4 key criteria in terms of the investor interface that can hamper your ease of doing business perception is, your bureaucracy involved with obtaining construction permits, taxation, ability to trade across the borders, unrestricted access to skilled manpower. I think all these points we are, as a zone manager at Lagos Free Zone, trying to take head on by providing you services like single window clearance systems, providing you 100% fiscal benefits such as exemptions from taxes and duties, providing you unrestricted access to skilled manpower by way of allowing you to tap into the global talent pool as and when required. and also, last and but not the least, providing you a work-live-play environment, which in itself is a major booster as far as productivity in the country is concerned.
Excellent, thank you. A lot of valid and good points there. I think maybe from a more practical sense, obviously we're talking, we obviously talking about property investment and development. So from a real estate perspective, how will the development of both Lekki and the Lagos Free Zone, how will that unlock value for developers, investors in the area? And how does the Lagos Free Zone, how will you look to partner with potential developers and investors, throughout the process, whether it be housing, hospitality, retail? Maybe you can shed some light on that.
Sure. That's a very good question, and I think the way I can give you a quick sense of the degree of opportunity here is by telling you about what our master plan is predicated upon. The master plan for the 830-hectare development that we are embarking upon is carefully crafted in a way that it is centered around the work-live-play concept, and with the total expected number of businesses to be operational within the next 5 to 10 years being close to around 100. We are talking about a population of close to 50,000 people that will be living, playing, and operating out of the Lagos Free Zone. And that size of a captive market in itself bears a lot of opportunity in the areas of commercial development, such as multi-tiered housing, providing office spaces, business and leisure hotels, as well as healthcare and educational projects. And we are extremely excited about these opportunities. And these are the kind of spin-off businesses that we see that will evolve from our development effort at Lagos Free Zone, in addition to the two driving clusters on the industrial side and the port-based logistics side.
Okay, super. And I mean, on that note, how will the ideal, I don't know if there is an ideal, I know there's going to be various different types of structures, but in terms of development and investment partnerships with third parties who want to develop or invest there, I mean, how is Tolaram or Lagos Free Zone, how will they partner with, what will be the structures, and just, a bit more clarity on that?
Sure. So in terms of our first phase plan for the 360 hectares that I talked about in the presentation, all the trunk infrastructure in terms of the roads, drainage networks, security, in terms of providing you ready to develop land, all the trunk infrastructure is being already taken care of by Lagos Free Zone as the zone manager. But having said that, there are immense opportunities for us to talk to relevant people who bring in industry expertise to see how we can explore partnerships in the areas of, whether it is hospitality sector or housing sector, or, even, disrupting the logistics sector by making use of technology as well as a fully integrated deep sea port capabilities within the free zone. So we are, to answer your question simply, we are open to discuss with all the potential partners, on different forms of engagement. I think what is key is meeting of minds and having the same vision in terms of how we can unlock the value for all the involved stakeholders.
Okay, excellent. I'm going to ask one more question, and then I see a couple of questions coming through from the audience. I'll hop onto those. But you talked earlier about the partnership with public sector and the work the Nigerian government is doing. I mean, how can Nigeria ensure that world-class ports like Lekki are utilized to their full potential? For businesses, but also for the larger economy, and for the general population.
Sure. So we all understand the hard constraints with the existing port infrastructure in Lagos. We all have at different points in time, seen what those hard constraints translate into in terms of inefficiencies and in terms of higher operational cost. And I think here there is a unique advantage with Lekki Port and Lagos Free Zone combined ecosystem because it blends the opportunities of a gateway port with that of developing it into a transshipment hub. With a fully integrated free zone ecosystem in the immediate vicinity, the Lagos Free Zone would allow the investors to locate themselves closest to the biggest demand center in the Western Africa, which is Nigeria, and also open the opportunity of bringing in economies of scale by using the same facilities to cater to the wider West African market. And one of the key enabling factors to be able to do that is access to a deep sea port. Just to give you a quick sense, the existing ports in Lagos can barely handle a vessel that can accommodate more than 5,500 to 6,000 containers. In contrast to that, Lekki Port will be able to handle vessels of up to 18,000 containers and will provide a draft depth of 16.5 meters for bigger vessels to come in. And that in itself can mean a direct benefit for the investors in terms of reduced logistics cost. And as far as the government's objectives are concerned, especially in the pretext of AFCFTA and Nigeria's preparation to make the most out of the imminent implementation of that, is the fact that it will significantly enhance the export capabilities of Nigeria as a country. And that in itself is, as we know, is a driving force behind development, as well as bringing in a lot of foreign exchange, which in itself can be redeployed within the Nigerian ecosystem for providing us the infrastructure backbone and the capital fillip that I was talking about in my opening remarks. So I think the opportunities are huge, both for incoming investors as well as potential value that can be generated for Nigeria as a country.
Excellent. Perfect. So I think we're going to move on, as I mentioned, to some of the questions that have come in. One that is of particular interest, and obviously it's a very topical point across the continent, is around affordable housing. So the one question that's come in is, obviously Lagos has a large deficit in terms of housing accommodation. What is Lagos Free Zone doing to enhance low-cost housing or affordable housing to tackle this challenge?
Sure. I mean, the gap in terms of housing across the tiers is very clear, and it was also touched upon by the different speakers that we had before the session today. So what Lagos Free Zone plans to do to address that problem is, I'll go back to the work-live-play ecosystem that I was talking about. And the work-live-play ecosystem is incomplete without providing a multi-tiered housing that can cater to different sections of the demand sector. So we intend to develop, luxury housing as well as executive housing for people who are going to be, the senior management cadre of all the investors. And at the same time, we are going to develop a lot of affordable housing for the middle income segment as well as the low income segment, who will be operating out of the Lagos Free Zone in their different capacities. And I think what is the key here is to I think sort of follow the build and they will come philosophy that has been spoken a lot about in the real estate development sector. And we are at the cusp of making those investment decisions. And as we speak, we have already embarked upon developing the first residential tower, and we'll keep on building this momentum to cater to all the different sections of the society.
Great, thanks for that. I think we're running out of time, but maybe one or two more questions. I mean, one question that's come in, I know it's a difficult one to answer, so maybe I'll ask it in a different way. I mean, the question came in is, how much is the land per square meter in the free zone? And I think it's a very relative question, etc. But I think maybe to ask it in a different way, I mean, how do you go about, pricing the land? Obviously, there's been a lot of investment in around services and in infrastructure. how do you go about pricing the land relative to what else is available in the region, in Lekki, in Lagos, etc. So maybe to put a swing on that question that's come through.
Sure. So, I mean, it won't be proper for me to get into the commercials. For that, I'll be more than happy to take the questions and answer, the specific details on a private session to the participant who has raised this question. But I'll say this, in terms of the philosophy of the pricing at Lagos Free Zone, we are trying to follow a value-based pricing, and we are, highly confident that there is significant operational value in terms of efficiency savings, as well as in terms of being located at the center of the future growth engine of both Lagos and Nigeria as a country. And our pricing is completely reflective of the long-term value that we are working very hard to deliver to all the incoming investors. I will definitely say that the pricing is just at the right sweet spot where it will make sense for all the incoming investors, as well as duly recognize the effort and the risk taken by the investors behind the development.
Okay, fair enough. I think it's a very good answer, and I think obviously you can take offline the discussion with the person who's posed the question if there's a commercial interest from that perspective. Just as we wrap up, and obviously we're going to move on to the next session which you're a part of. So I'll ask you to stay online whilst we bring the other moderator, etc. on. But maybe one question, from my end. Obviously, we've seen the impact of COVID-19. The impact it's had on projects. So I think one is just to understand how has this impacted, the timelines and the project rollout. And I think the second question or link to that is, what is the view, or do you expect a lot of demand in terms of hospitality operators, the likes of the big chains? Do you expect them to come and set up hotels in the free zone? So those are my parting questions, and then once we wrap up that, I'll invite the other panelists on to move on to the panel.
Sure, Tiffin. So in terms of the impact of COVID-19, I think there is no two ways of saying that it has been a body blow, not just to Nigeria, but to economies across the world, and especially to economies in the emerging market sector. But I think the world is learning every day to deal with this pandemic better. The vaccination efforts seem to be progressing very well, across 2 or 3 developed economies, and we seem to be generating a few options that will become viable by possibly first quarter or second quarter of next year. But when it comes to investment in free zones and industrial zones like us, I think it's only prudent for all the investors to take a long-term view. And that is the mantra that we as Tolaram Group have always followed when it comes to Nigeria. And I think the fact remains that Nigeria is one of the only few economies in the world of its size that has grown at a compounded annual growth rate of 10% in the last 2 decades. While there are challenges and pressures at the fringe that you typically see in all economies, but I think the fundamentals are pointing in the right direction, and there is a lot of value to be unlocked in the medium to long term. But having said that, the pandemic will definitely lead us to reposition our efforts in terms of marketing outreach. For example, the FDI investments are possibly going to rechannel, from the typical sectors of manufacturing and value-added services and production to sectors like life sciences and pharmaceuticals and healthcare sector. I also take cognizance of the fact that, in this current market where global tourism has taken a deep hit, it might be difficult for the hospitality sector to make investment decisions right away. But I think, as I said, the key lies in taking a longer term view And I think there are all the right ingredients that are coming together as far as Lagos Free Zone development is concerned for investors to look at it in a holistic manner and put things in the right context to be able to prepare for tomorrow and not be a reactive enterprise and rather be a proactive enterprise to take benefit of the market both in Nigeria and West Africa.
Excellent, thank you. I mean, it's a good way to look at it, and I definitely think that, especially with the size of projects that would be happening in Lagos Free Zone, investors and developers will need to take a longer-term view beyond, what happens with COVID-19, vaccine or no vaccine. So yeah, thank you for your comments there, and thank you for the session. It was a great presentation and very insightful as to where and what the Lagos Free Zone is and how developers and investors can participate and get involved. We're going to move on to the next panel session. The session is...
I'll just make one remark, Kifir. I'll just say thanks to you to be able to organize this in such a seamless fashion, despite not being able to get into in the same room. And I'll encourage all the participants who have graciously stayed on with us for the last 30 to 40 minutes and have more follow-up questions. Feel free to reach out to us by sending direct messages to me on this platform or by way of reaching out to us through our website, www.lagosfreezone.com.
Excellent, and thank you for the words and for the support from Lagos Free Zone for the event. Hopefully, as mentioned, we'll be doing this in Lagos next year.